it. They state it in the statement that they've put out. They actually say that it is in discretion as required by Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution. That's the reason they're given.
Before I got called to the bar, there's a distinguished lawyer in this country called Joe Gatti. The wife is the president of the bar now, Mrs. Efuagati. The husband was a lawyer in a case reference Ranford, France. This is Attorney General and the Electoral Commission. At that time, the EC was creating 45 new constituencies. And he went to court and litigated Article 296C. This is what the Supreme Court of Ghana said. Maybe, with respect, I will plead with the bar president, Mrs. Efuagati, to possibly call my company law lecturer, the Honorable Jugati, to furnish her a copy of the Supreme Court decision in Ranford, France, that he prosecuted before the Supreme Court. It was to the effect. In fact, he urged on the Supreme Court that as far as Article 296 is concerned, the reference to me appearing in Article 47 on the creation of constituencies, there should have been a constitutional instrument before the Electoral Committee to create the 45 new constituencies. The Supreme Court, speaking through his lawsuit Justice Zatiba, had this to say, that it is not the exercise of every discretion that requires a CI or what we call prior published regulations. The court further proceeded that, like the president, he exercises a lot of discretion every day. And so, if you want every decision he takes, there should be prior publication of regulations. It will grind public administration to a halt. It is my senior, Dogati, whose wife signed this particular resolution, who conducted that case. Is it the case that she does not have the benefit of that decision? Two, the Supreme Court in that same case, reference to his lawsuit that he does about, makes it abundantly clear that, in fact, that is when he introduced the word nuclear melts down. If you want every normal administrative work to have a CI, and such matters applies to quasi judicial situations, more importantly, adjudication. And it is only when it relates to adjudication, has the president adjudicated on anything? Has the president or the Council of State adjudicated on anything? So if you note, when it comes to adjudication in this country, we almost have CIs regulating those matters. So for instance, the Judicial Committee and all of those matters. I mean, in fact, when the Chief Justice, in the case of Sarfo, decided the prima facie case against Sarfo, referenced Chief Justice Akufo, right? And thereafter appointed the 5-member committee chaired by his lordship Justice Bennett. The first day, Charlotte Osei and the lawyers appeared before the committee. The committee put in place the rule and procedure that will govern, more or less the regulation that will govern its conduct. We've not gotten there yet. At this point,
okay,
the president, together with the Council of State, has just given an indication that A, B, C, D decisions have been taken relative to the determination of prima facie and the establishment of the committee. So where from this matter?
Okay.
Two, and maybe I'll conclude on this. Just 2 seconds. The Ghana Bar Association is telling the Chief Justice that more or less he has no right to decide who should speak or the decision as to the registrar making a determination as to what case, what date, and what have you. Asuna Bapa asked her, under what circumstance was Justice Etia made the presiding, in fact, the first time, the judge in the matter involving Ape Fostina and Richard Dapa. She was the Deputy Attorney General then. How did the Chief Justice get the case to her ladyship, Justice Efia? Was it a computer-generated assignment? Ask Asuna Bapa. Under what circumstance did Justice Hoyenuga, then a court of appeal judge, the circumstance under which he was given a warrant to determine the case involving Dr. Opuni and Sedu Abongo? Please, this level of hypocrisy, the Ghana Bar Association should not get involved.
Thank you so much, Eduji. Stay with me because I just want to get a direct response from Xavier. Xavier, you've heard from Eduji. He says that you're acting quite hypocritical. What's your response?
Let me start by saying that the earlier statement that he made, that decisions have been imposed on us, I think that they are not fair. I respect him so much. He shouldn't say such things again. He's my junior. He's my younger brother to a friend. You see, Eduji knows that the highest decision-making body of the Ghana Bar Association is the annual conference of the Bar Association, and this includes the media conference.
Now, Xavier, another issue that has come up is that the president is deriving his powers from the Constitution. The Constitution also states that the president can indeed suspend the Chief Justice if prima facie is determined. Why does he need to publish a CI to that effect?
If at the General Assembly of members of the bar, the majority of them are of the view that as far as the exercise of that discretion by the president is concerned, there ought to have been published a CI or a statutory instrument before that is done. Why should anybody have issue with it? That is the position the members have taken. We may be wrong, we may be right. We all have views. And if you attend a meeting, the very fact that you have your personal views and various people have expressed various views, that does not mean that the meeting will not come to a certain decision. Once the meeting comes to a decision, it becomes the decision of the meeting. In that wise, you cannot be pushing your personal views any longer. So I don't think that it's fair to say that decisions have been imposed on us and going to the extent of mentioning the former Attorney General's name, the Deputy Attorney General's name. I was at the meeting. I didn't see my learned good friend Eduji there. He may have heard things, but I think that sometimes it is the best for you to have information firsthand before you comment. So for us, this is our position. They may disagree with it, but that is the position of the bar as taken by members at the media conference.
So it's safe to say that you're just voicing your opinions and it may not be founded in law. Is that the case? Can you point to one constitutional breach when it comes to the procedure the president went through with the removal of the Chief Justice? Just one.
I think that is what we have said in the statement, that to the members present at that meeting and who put together this resolution or who resolve on this are saying that as far as the discretion of suspending the Chief Justice is concerned, the president ought to have done that under a published regulation as required by Article 296. Let us not forget that the Supreme Court is not bound by its decision. The fact that Joseph Fran's case said not in all cases that this must be done. Nobody is too sure whether the Supreme Court in the future can say that in the president exercising a discretion of this nature, i.e. suspending the Chief Justice, he shouldn't have done that under a published regulation.
Now, I want to find out from you, as a bar, would you be going to court to challenge this? Are we going to see action from you, or is all talk?
That's a possibility, because once it's about the constitution or law, that's a possibility.
A possibility you'll be exploring. How soon?
Because going forward, there must be clear guidelines as to how these things ought to be done. So that's a possibility, to have the courts to interpret that for us.
Stay with me, Xavier. I'll come to you for your final words. But let me get a direct response from Eduji. The Ghana Bar is threatening to go to court. Your response?
President Mahama's association with the Ghana Bar Association relating to them going to court on a decision that he is facing. It's not going to be new. Under the bar president, Nene Amadache, who later became the Supreme Court judge, when President Mahama appointed or nominated for appointment two Supreme Court judges, his lordship Justice Gabriel Poman and Justice Yao Apa, the Ghana Bar Association went to the Supreme Court to challenge the procedure President Mahama has adopted in the appointment of those judges. At the end, the Supreme Court roundly vindicated President Mahama. The bar lost against him. So the bar can try again. They don't need a resolution. If they strongly believe in what they claim and want to be done, they have the benefit of going to court rather than hiding behind the resolution. In any case, is it not curious that the bar that kept quiet for Gregory Afoko to be in prison custody, the bar that for many years kept quiet, what happens when the people of Central City, Apafu, Nipe and Co.
But the bar is speaking. They're speaking now. And if you look at Article 146, Section 11, Eduji, if you allow me to come in at this point, the bar is speaking now. And if you look at Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, Section 11 says the President may at any time revoke a suspension under this article. As Director of Legal for the NDC, would you advise the President to revoke the suspension of the CJ?
President has the benefit legal advice. What decision he has taken now is a suspension. There is a committee in place to work. The committee has barely started its work. And already the bar is up in arms. They should straight out.
Thank you, Ediji Tamaklo. He is Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC. We have also been speaking to Xavier Kuji. I just come to him for 1 minute as we wrap up the conversation. His final words as PR of the Ghana Bar Association. Xavier, your final words.
Yeah, my final words are that Ediji knows that it is through going to court by the GBA that the clear lines of appointing Supreme Court judges has been set. It was through our going to court that it has been made clear that the recommendations of the Judicial Council to the President are not binding on the President. Before then, it wasn't too clear. So I think that if we happen to go to court again, we may clear the air on this kind of matters, including this very one that is we are discussing today.
Thank you, Xavier Kuji. He is PR of the Ghana Bar Association. And that's how we wrap up Top Story. My name is Fostina. Sarfo. Up next is Newsnight.
Auntie T, I beg, fix me go betete Ghana. No gari, no oil, no plantain, just beans and eggs.
Hey, brah, that be dangerous combination, no.
Problem no day. I feel handle am.
For Telecel, we the Bob say everybody gets what they like. That be why Made For Me bundles day. Based on your usage, you fit get your own data and call packages. Fala! Made For Me bundles like the way you the want them. That *530#, then buy Made For Me bundles today.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me da na ma da with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush the clean and bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between. Brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger teeth.
This advert is FDA approved.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, Ghana Bar Association hints it may drag President Mahama to court over suspension of Chief Justice. Also tonight, Kumasi Mayor owns up to removing 5 seized Galamsey excavators from Ashanti Regional Forestry Commission office after intense pressure and calls for his resignation.
They should be prosecuted. They are enemies of the president himself, and we need to find out who gave the order from above.
Please, Mr. I do not have any intention to misbehave. I do not. It was a good purpose. It was never in my knowledge that the machines were kept at the Forestry Commission. Oh, I swear to God, it was never in my knowledge.
But does his confession appease civil society? We have the latest. Also tonight, Energy Minister breaks silence on the growing spate of power cuts across the country as he hints of efforts to find alternative power sources to resolve the crisis.
And we have to be honest with the people of Ghana. The generation and the demand are just at par. And so when one plant goes down, immediately you have a shortfall. And so you cannot publish a load shedding timetable when you are sure that you can be bringing the plants back.
In Business 2024 Public Interest and Accountability Committee report shows petroleum revenue increased by 27% to $1.3 billion last year.
And in sports, Joy Sports UCL Pop Series kicks off tonight with commentary on Arsenal versus Paris Saint-Germain at the Palms by Eagles.
And you want to stay with us because later, 143 days after the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, Abluma North constituency is still without an MP as pressure mounts on the EC to make a determination. So what exactly is holding back a collation and declaration of the results? We are also live in the constituency where residents are frustrated about stalled development which they attribute to the absence of an MP.
And currently that we don't have it, I think when the national cake is being shared, we won't get some.
And up till now, even the government hasn't been repaired. They've not done anything about it. Yes, and I don't feel good about it.
And you want to stay with us because I'll be sharing your thoughts too here on Newsnight 05511119997 and the developing story over the last few minutes really around the final release of that very controversial Ghana Bar Association resolution. We're now hearing from the Ghana Bar Association as they hint that they may actually be dragging the President John Dramani Mahama, to court over his handling of the Chief Justice's suspension. Just a short while ago, we had this hint dropped by the spokesperson for the Bar Association, Xavier Kuji.
That as far as the discretion of appointing the Chief Justice is concerned, the president ought to have done that under a published regulation as required by Article 296. Let us not forget that the Supreme Court is not bound by its decision. The fact that Joseph Fran's case said not in all cases that this must be done. Nobody is too sure whether the Supreme Court in the future can say that in the president exercising a discretion of this nature, i.e., suspending the chief justice, he shouldn't have done that under a published regulation.
Now, I want to find out from you, as a bar, would you be going to court to challenge this? Are we going to see action from you, or is all talk?
That's a possibility, because once it's about the constitution or law, that's a possibility.
A possibility you'll be exploring. How soon?
Because going forward, there must be clear guidelines as to how these things ought to be done. So that's a possibility, to have the courts to interpret that for us.
I want to bring in the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Sarfo, joins us on the line right now. Justice, when we last spoke to you yesterday, you were looking forward to reading the full text of the resolution. You have it now. Do you have the clarity you were looking for as to the reason behind that resolution to ask the president to revoke the suspension?
Yeah, I have been able to read the communicate, and the more I read it, the more I get convinced that the GBA has decided to abandon principles of law and rely on something else to form their opinion. And I think we first of all need to take the GBA's resolution in context. Evan, I can go to a meeting, organized persons of my kind who think like me, and we constitute majority, and say that we want to pass a resolution so that no man should be admitted into a university. If they think like me and we form majority of that meeting, chances are that we'll be able to come up with a resolution which says that the organization I represent says that no man should be admitted to a university. That is not different from what has happened at the GBA. I would like to limit myself to the legal analysis of what is at play and avoid a political position that the GBA had put out. Now, we are dealing with a particular article of the Constitution which says that where a person is given a power to a discretion to exercise, the person to publish by way of either constitutional instrument or statutory instrument, a regulation to regulate the exercise of that person. That is what the provision is. Now, a quick search through the Constitution, I found about 50 instances where various actors, apart from judges acting in their capacity as judges, are given power to discretion to take one step or the other. For example, the president has the power to appoint ministers. So the word there is the president may appoint ministers. Another one is the president may grant pardon. That's one. Another one is the president may enter into international agreements. And I found as many of that with the president. When I go to parliament, I found so many instances where Parliament is given the discretion to do something.
And how does that relate to this instant matter? Because the bar says he acted unconstitutionally, considering the fact that the president, who is not a judge or a judicial officer, exercised his discretion to suspend the Chief Justice under the same article you're quoting, in the absence of a published constitutional instrument, statutory instrument, and regulations.
Evans, the point I'm making is simply this. The failure or inability or refusal to publish a regulation to guide how the discretion is exercised does not in any way disable the person from exercising the discretion. And that is the point I'm trying to make, that when I look at all these instances, no PI has been published in respect of all the things that I've mentioned. There are about 50 more that I could mention. Does that mean that the president cannot appoint a minister? Shall that mean that the president cannot sign international agreement? Does that mean that the president cannot grant pardon? And so on and so forth. So there is really little law in what the GP is standing on to say that unless the CI is published, the president, may not suspend the Chief Justice under this circumstance. And secondly, Evans, so the second point is that the GBA's communique is not, we are not saying that the GBA doesn't have the power to be political. The GBA is an association of lawyers. He has every power to be political. He has every power to pass any resolution he wants. He has any power to make any decision he wants. That we all agree and respect because that is what the law says. The point, however, is that the president, we at the Attorney General Department, will consider the GBA's view as one of the many views that we keep receiving on this particular issue.
I hear you say that you hear them but you ignore it.
No, I did not say we're going to say we'll consider, we'll add to all the other views that we receive daily on this matter. We will consider all of them and advise the government going forward. But the point that we're mentioning is that the failure or inability to publish a CI in respect of discretionary power does not disable the person from exercising that power at all.
And very quickly, the spokesperson for the GBA had just hinted tonight that they may drag the president to court on this matter and seek constitutional interpretation of the Supreme Court. You're ready to face them in court?
We are convinced that our position is the right one. We don't know whether the GBA will gather the confidence and courage to proceed to court on something like this. I understand that decision to be political, and I don't think that there's any serious belief in anybody that the court will grant such a relief.
Dr. Justice Mensah, thank you very much. He's the Deputy Attorney General speaking to us about unfolding controversy around the suspension of the Chief Justice. I want to take you right now to Kumasi, the center of Kumasi, to be very specific. Kumasi Mayor there is in hot waters tonight. Richard Oforia Jimanbwedi has owned up to carting 5 seized controversial Galamsey excavators from the Forestry Commission's premises in the Ashanti region. The towing of the excavators by unknown armed men this morning sparked huge controversy over who gave the order, with civil society organizations calling for an immediate sacking of the mayor and the Ashanti regional minister. Few hours after the intense pressure, there is now some clarity to the matter. Let's first listen to Erasa Saridonko narrate exactly what transpired at the Forestry Commission today. In fact, he witnessed the movement of the excavators that had been placed there on the orders of a court.
Original of the Forestry Commission. This is where seized excavators from illegal mining fields, excavators that are being used in illegal mining in forest reserves, have been parked. Now this morning we had information that there's been a directive from somebody, an authority, that all these seized excavators that have been properly and lawfully kept in the custody of the commission be released. And so you see the low beds here, they were used to cart 5 of the excavators. After we learnt of it, we started pulling strings and talking to various authorities, asking why. Now there's another order asking them to return the seized excavators. And so all 5 of the excavators have been brought back. This is the last one that is being brought back. And these are seized excavators. These are exhibits that are going to be used for prosecution. So if you see them, they've been marked, properly marked. And you can see the writings on them in red, indicating that these are exhibits. And so you can see this one, Government of Ghana, Ashanti, and Carrier, the date they were seized, and exhibit number 01. These are awaiting, according to the Forestry Commission officials, their case is pending in court. These are exhibits. Who will order for exhibits that are going to be used in prosecution to be returned and released? Who gave that order? And that's the major question that we are asking right now. Now there's been denials all across people we have cross-checked. We are still cross-checking, and at the right time, we'll bring you the right information. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Forestry Commission, Regional Depot, Kumasi.
Well, this sparked rage with civil society organizations calling for the immediate dismissal of the Kumasi Mayor, the regional minister, and an arrest and prosecution of the unknown men. Listen to the outburst of convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, speaking to my colleague Elton Broby on the Pulse.
This one, we place the responsibility squarely on the Honorable Minister for the Ashanti region. He He is responsible for this thing that has happened. It is his security liaison officer who is involved. The drip equipment you are seeing, all the regional coordinating councils have some drip equipment that they also keep. So these drip equipment are coming from his place. And so he needs to explain to us why he would and his team would think that they are above the law. In the laws that we have, if you look at the Minerals and Mining Act, Act 995, and you also look at the Forestry Commission Act, nobody can take back, move any equipment that have been seized in the theater of a crime.
Right.
That is being used as evidence. So the minister who is currently not in this jurisdiction needs to explain to us. By this time, I am hoping that the IGP would arrest this NIB coordinator, the Regional Security Coordinating Officer who was the lead of this, so that he can tell us who gave him the power to do the thing that he purported to have done. We should not have ordered only for the return of the equipment. We should by now have these people arrested, investigated, and prosecuted. We cannot have the situation where you have the CEO for the Forestry Commission, you have the Minister for the Lands and Natural Resources, you have people like Erastus putting their very lives on the line. You have the Forestry Commission people putting their very lives on the line. And then if you are going to a state entity, you are going to a state entity who've done a legitimate effort. Do you go about carrying Kalashnikovs and all of that? This cannot be accepted. These people are undermining the effort of His Excellency, the President. They should be made to pay for the cost of transporting the movement of these excavators. They should be prosecuted. They are enemies of the President himself. These people who went about doing this, and we need to find out who gave the order from above for this thing to happen. We need to go after the job of that person. Not only go after the job of that person should be arraigned before court. We have said it all the time, that the challenges we're fighting, Galamsey, is the political influence, is the fact that the actors that we have put in charge to fight this particular thing are the people doing it. So at this stage, I would not say that the regional minister was the one who did it, but he is responsible for this. It is one of his officers who's done it. It's vehicles that is under his care that have been used for this. And he should be held responsible, and he should be made to act. If he is not responsible, then whoever it is that is responsible should fall.
Well, minutes into the conversation, the man at the center of the controversy, the Kumasi Mayor, Richard Ofori Ajimambwedi, joined, owning up to ordering the movement of the excavators. Listen.
Since we had the fire incident at the Doom from day one, every activity that we have done there, we have taken advantage of the seized excavators to use them to do whatever that we have to do. And when we finish, they return back. So currently, there's a report available to it that says that we must demolish all. There are 3 buildings that we have to demolish. And people have started construction. They have started fixing the very buildings that are been earmarked to be demolished.
Right.
Last week, we went to fence off the area where they sell the shoes, and they bought into it. So we wanted to go and do the demolition today, and we called the regional security coordinator to help us to pull these excavators that is at their disposal. We did not have any idea that those ones that we were going to use were the ones that are kept at the forestry. So when it was brought to my attention, in fact, it was the general officer commanding the central command who brought it to my attention. So we have them to return the machine.
So you are saying that
the demolition work that we were even going to use the excavators, we have not done.
So you are saying that the excavators were going to be used for the demolition exercise?
Everybody in Kumasi knows that since day one, we have been using excavators about 3, 4, 5 at a time. We have been using excavators at the inside that got bent. And it is these same excavators that we fuel for them to do the work for us. And then when we are done, we bring it back, whoever will take it. So this morning, we wanted to go and demolish the structure, the one in front of the where the villager will do it. Because I have good intentions to save lives. And the good intentions that I have, it's getting to something, but it's putting my name in bad light. I feel working for the people and putting your life, yourself in life, it's something that comes with the office. But please, Mr. Shebe, I do not have any intention to misbehave. I do not. It was for a good purpose. The noise that I am not going from now to the end of December. This place couldn't get myself with any machinery at that particular place. I'm begging you.
But Zuma, the law is a law. Why don't you go to the due process and get a court order to use it for the purpose that you want?
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Mr. Sube.
My intentions are good. My intentions are to save life. I did not intend to cause the slightest of disaffection or discomfort for any staff or officer of the Forestry Commission, because it was never in my knowledge that the machines were kept at the Forestry Commission.
Right.
It was never, I swear to God, it was never in my knowledge.
All right.
So I have repeated, I've asked them to send the machine back to wherever they got it from, and then we'll look at how best we raise money to do the demolition.
Well, let's dig into this a bit more. I want to bring in Erastus Aridonko because he was there when all this unfolded. Also with me is Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. He's a man who raised it. He's now been begged profusely by the mayor that he wouldn't do this again. I wonder if this satisfies him and, he is happy with what he's had. But Erastus, you were there. When the officers came to move the excavators, did they explain to the Forestry Commission officers that they indeed were operating on the orders of the mayor?
In fact, when the confrontation started, we were on our way to the site because we had gotten the information. So, per the accounts of the forestry officials, explanation was not given as to what they were going to be used for. And that created the verbal exchanges between them and the national security officers, some of whom were wielding weapons, AK-47 and all that, branded in national security attire. And the national security liaison officer, according to the forest officers, was there himself to supervise what was going on. So they initially put up a defense that the equipment had been placed in their custody lawfully, and that there is a case pending in court, and they are waiting for the order to release the equipment to their custody. And so they cannot be moved out of the officers. But the officers who came were insistent that there's an order that they should move the equipment from that yard.
But presumably they did not disclose who gave the order.
No, they did not disclose.
But they did disclose what they were going to. But did they disclose what they were going to use the excavators for?
No, they did not disclose what they were going to use the excavators for, according to the fire officers. And so I had been nosing around in the afternoon, was trying to get explanation as to what they were going to be used for, where they were sending them. And just this evening, I got the same information that the mayor is giving. And that's the excuse that we have gotten so far.
I want to bring Dr. Ken Ashigbe into the picture here. Doc, you've heard the appeals to you. He says he's begging you. He's actually swearing that it will never happen again. Happy?
Well, again, Ivan, thank you very much, and good evening. We thank Erastus for the work that has been done. I have seen somebody from the Jubilee House trying to castigate me over this. But it is based on the work that Erastus done. It's based on all the pressure that all of us put. That on Joy News, we got the mayor come and accept that he had erred. If you go and read Act 995, it talks about the fact that, just paraphrasing from 8, 9, 10, that when these equipments are gone, you confiscate them, you keep them. And then it is after the court pronounces on the case that forfeiture is done, and then a gazette is published within 60 days, and then you allocate the equipment. So if you have a mayor who has the penchant for going to take confiscated equipment and use them for lawful duty, he stands the risk of being sued by any of these owners of this equipment if after the case is done and the state is not able to prove its case. So I think for me, one of the things we need to admire is the courage of the mayor to come out and come and accept it, and not, like the way we've seen in the past, where some people will hide under the cloak of big man. But we need to let those who've been elected and those who've been appointed know that sovereignty, comes from us as citizens. And for all citizens, when we see anything wrong happening, we need to speak up against it. And definitely for me, I think there's some education that has to happen. The mayor needs to, apprise himself of Act 995. But more importantly, it is the national security operatives. That regional coordinator, liaison officer has to be brought to book. How is it that you are going to the Forestry Commission, another legally empowered state institution, and then you go carrying Kalashnikovs, and all kinds of weapons? You break the gates and go in there and go and take these equipment, it completely destroys the collaboration that we expect.
But doesn't that also beg the question? I mean, if they were going to lawfully move the excavators, why did they need all that weaponry, all that ammunition and guns to do so? And why don't just simply go and tell them what you needed it for and have a conversation? I mean, it raises questions even about what we just had.
No, even it raises a lot of questions. In as much as the mayor had come to say what it is that he said on national TV, it is important that some investigation goes into it. So that if what the mayor tells us is what the truth is, then the question we should be asking is the National Security Coordinator, how that happens, and how is it that somebody also released this equipment to go and move these equipment that have been forfeited, when we know that it is only the courts that can order that to happen. So when we sweep this thing under the carpet and don't go back to the root cause of this and fix it so that this does not reoccur, like my nephew at the Jubilee House wants us to do, if we don't do that, then what is going to happen is that these things are going to be perpetuated. And so what would have happened if the Forestry Commission people, who are also armed, decided that we're not going to allow this to happen and there had been exchange of fire? What do you think would have happened? So it is important that we get to the bottom of this and not just take it from the apology that has been rendered by the mayor, but get to the bottom of it and then make sure that the interdepartmental and interagency coordination that should be happening. Because in such a situation, the mayor should be able to call the regional manager of the Forestry Commission, and they would have explained to them that under the Forestry Act and then under 995, you cannot move any of these confiscated, equipment that is evidence as exhibits. You can't move them. And then we would not have gotten to the point that we have gotten to. So what do you think would have happened if Erastus had not gotten there and had put this out in the open? What do you think would have happened? So I think the point you make is very important. There are some of the things that do not add up, and it is important that we find out the reason why this thing happened and make sure that we nip this in the bud.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kenneth Shigbe. And of course, always a delight talking to Rasa Saridonko, whose vigilance today stopped the movement of the excavators. The mayor for Kumasi, he has now apologized. But as you just heard there, Dr. Shigbe is asking for further investigations into it. Now, I want to take you to a place in the Greater Accra region without representation in Parliament. It has been 143 days or 5 months since the last ballot was cast in the 2024 general elections, but the Abluma North constituency is still without representation in Parliament. The collation and recollation of results in that constituency has been rocked by chaos, court injunctions, and destruction of properties, forcing the Electoral Commission to put on hold the entire process. With just one polling station outstanding. My colleague Kweku Asante of the Political Desk joins me right now with more on this. Kweku, when was the last time the EC attempted to conclude the collation exercise, and what happened?
It was just in the middle of January when the Electoral Commission, following in the decision of a High Court to actually compel it by another of mandamus, to actually collate that result that the Electoral Commission did attempt. The first time it tried, there was chaos at the polling at the collation center. It could not. Later on, they did attempt again to do the collation at the regional office of the Electoral Commission here in Greater Accra. But that morning, even before the Electoral Commission officials will go there, facts believed to be supporters of the various political parties stormed the regional office of the Electoral Commission and destroyed materials over there. that meant that the process was not going to go on. The Electoral Commission did issue a statement insisting that until they receive firm assurances from the Ghana police that they will provide adequate protection, just as the High Court had directed, they were not going to continue that process.
I mean, has this really got anything to do with the legal cases also around this?
Not at all, because even though there are currently cases at the Supreme Court specifically subsisting against, and that is the NDC challenging the High Court's order to compel the EC to recollate the results in Abluma North, the Supreme Court is yet to decide that matter and is also yet to actually pass any injunctive relief on that matter. So, although those matters are still pending, the Electoral Commission believe that they've been given the go-ahead by the High Court to actually go ahead. And we have been digging at the Electoral Commission to try and get some understanding. 143 days, what exactly are you doing? The Electoral Commission says its position has not changed. One, it is completely against any suggestion to rerun the election in that one particular polling station. Then also, it is awaiting confirmation from the Ghana Police Service that it will provide adequate security. Once that happens, they will conduct the collation exercise of that one outstanding polling station and declare the winner of that election.
Quickly, thank you very much. Now, residents of Abluma North constituency, though, say they are frustrated by the lack of action on the part of the Electoral Commission to conclude the collation.
I feel bad, though, because when we have an MP, he or she is going to represent us at the parliament. And currently that we don't have it. I think when the national cake is being shared, we won't get some. You get it? Yes, though that will get theirs. They will benefit, but as for us, we won't benefit.
Bad, because I think during the election, after the election, there was a lot of halabalus and all that, and they bent the government school. And up till now, even the government school hasn't been repaired. They've not done anything about it. Yes, and
I don't feel good about it because look at our place. This place is supposed to be a bus stop, but look at the place. They are putting containers everywhere, and most of the times the traffic light, it doesn't work. It will go off, it will come back. Like, you will not even have somebody to stand inside and direct them, and then it's not good. It's not good. But I think we have to have an MP here who is going to support us, help us in all those stuffs.
We are not this area. We need this district, especially. We need an MP because of the election. Our one of our schools is bent. There is no help over there. So if an MP is here, the school will be reformed again.
Well, I want to bring in Evans Nemaku, who is the Director of Elections for the MPP, and Dr. Tanko Rashid Computers is Deputy Director of Elections for the NDC. Both gentlemen join me on the line right now. Evans Nemaku, so this subject has now become protracted, but at the heart of it are residents there. From the MPP's point of view, do you have clarity on how this impasse can be resolved?
Well, Evans, good evening. Thank you for having me. I think for us as New Patriotic Party, the High Court of Accra on the 4th of January 2025 gave a ruling to the EC and the National Election Security Task Force that the EC should go ahead and collate complete collation for Abluma North with the outstanding 64 polling stations. And that has been done with the exception of 3 polling stations. Anytime the EC had invited political parties, i.e. MPC and the NDC, the NDC has deliberately created problems, and the EC has been unable to do or complete the collation that they have to do. So for us, the issues have been settled. There's a ruling. If they disagree, if anybody disagrees with the ruling of the High Court, it's for them to pursue at that level.
I mean, Dr. Tanko Rashid, is the NDC ready to allow the final collation to proceed?
Please come again.
Is the NDC ready to allow the final collation to proceed in Abluma North?
It shouldn't lie in the mouth of the NDC.
No, I'm actually asking Dr. Tanko Rashid. I mean, you say they are the reason why this is delayed. I'm asking him if they want to step out of the way for the process to go ahead. Dr. Tanko Rashid?
Hello, Evans.
Yes.
let me say good evening to you and your cherished listeners, and my friend Evans Nimako. Look, listen, please, let's face it. We were all at IPAC meetings when we all agreed that, look, your party, MPP, you don't have the pink sheet. You don't have the carbon copies. What you told us at that meeting was that you are having scanned copies. We don't agree to scan copies in declaring any resource in Ghana. Anybody can scan anything and say it's a scanned copy. In any case, when they even tried their scanned copy, the presiding officers came and denied them. The presiding officers were of the view that those scanned copies were fake. And so on what basis are we going to rely on your scanned copies to declare results for you?
Okay, so how will this be resolved then?
The only resolution to this is that we should go for a rerun for those areas.
Oh, a complete re-election?
Yes, 62 polling stations, rerunning 62 polling stations, is there a problem?
I mean, Evans Namako, do you accept that?
My brother, ask the Electoral Commission how they are going to complete the collating of those polling stations. It doesn't lie in the mouth of Rashid Tanko.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the EC on. He's proposing a solution. Do you agree?
That is not the way to go.
Okay.
The EC is in the position to collate all the polling station results and declare a winner.
Okay. Evans, thank you very much. Evans Namako, the Director of Elections. Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer, Deputy Director of Elections for the NDC. Franklin Kujo has an intimate knowledge of what it is like to not be represented in Parliament. In his case, in his constituency somewhere in Seoul, the people there stayed without representation for 4 years. So, Franklin Kujo, listening to the Abluma North constituency scenario now, there's a proposal by the NDC that let's rerun all affected, polling stations. How should this be resolved?
Well, good evening to you, good self. I think, look, that election should be rerun. Whether 62 or whatever. I mean, 62 in addition to all the other areas of the constituency. Because it seems to me, I mean, the elections were negatively impacted. So they should rerun the entire election. That's what I'll suggest to them. And the constituency shouldn't wait that long at all. Otherwise, they experience what we experience.
Frankly, thank you very much. And that there's the president of Imani Africa giving us his own thoughts on what is happening there in Abluma North. And if you live in that part of Greater Accra, send me a WhatsApp right after I've heard from my colleague there, James, with business. I will share it with the rest of the world. We're also building up to that big game between Arsenal and PSG. The commentary is live here on Joy 99.7 FM. But first, what's in business?
In business, by the way, Evans, which team are you supporting tonight?
I don't want to support Arsenal.
Anyway,
PSG.
So, coming up in business this evening, 2024 Public Interest and Accountability Committee report shows petroleum revenue increased by 27% to $1.3 billion last year. And banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etienne advises Bank of Ghana to tread cautiously in its attempt to roll out regulations for the cryptocurrency space. Now, business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, Syntex tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma. The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us, so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *550# and get your reward today. Let's go everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Brush your teeth every day and night, up and down and all around. Brush the feeling bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between, brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger.
This advert is FDA approved.
One night, one stage, one nation's heartbeat, as all the stars in Ghana align to celebrate the biggest night in Ghanaian music, the 26th Telecel Ghana Music Awards. Live, unfiltered, unforgettable, with Kim Promise, Stoneboy, Kweku Smoke, Empress Gifty, Kim Paluta, Famiye, Adina, Beast Trap, Abiana, Titi Owusu, AEC, Molly, and more. Tickets going fast. 500 Ghana cedis and 700 Ghana cedis at Chatterhouse, or dial *713*33*00#. For limited VVIP, call 050-128-8520 now. The 26th Telecel Ghana Music Awards, produced by Charterhouse, with support from Guinness, TV3, British Council, Closer, KPMG, and Joy FM, and proudly sponsored by Telecel, Connected Energy.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. I am James Ishan. Let's settle for the details now. And total petroleum revenue for 2024 increased by 27.8% from $1.062 billion in 2023 to $1.35 billion in 2024. This was contained in the 2024 Public Interest and Accountability Committee report released today. There's more in the following report.
According to the 2024 Public Interest and Accountability Committee report, the 2024 performance was mainly due to an increase in pricing. It is the second highest annual petroleum receipt since inception, with 2022 being the highest year, which is $1.42 billion. The report added that the total proceeds from GMPC export cost liftings received in 2024, amounting to $145 million, was not paid into the Petroleum Holding Fund. This brings the cumulative proceeds of unpaid revenue into the Petroleum Holding Fund held by the Jubilee Oil Holding Limited and subsequently GMPC Exploco to $488.790 million as of the end of 2024. GMPC argues that proceeds from liftings by GMPC Exploco do not constitute payment into the Petroleum Holding Fund. With regards to a recommendation, the committee reiterated its position that proceeds from liftings by GMPC Exploco constituted indirect participation of the state and therefore must be paid into the Petroleum Holding Fund.
And that was a news desk report. Now to the banking sector. Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Chiayene is asking the Bank of Ghana to tread cautiously in an attempt to regulate cryptocurrency. The governor of the Bank of Ghana recently announced during the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. that the central bank is planning to roll out regulations for the space by September this year. However, speaking at the Business and Financial Times Money Summit program, Dr. Chiayene cautioned that steps must be taken to engage all stakeholders on the challenges in the cryptocurrency space.
We need to tread cautiously
even the asset we have we regulated to the best of our ability? And we must improve our regulatory architecture. If we want to go into cryptocurrency, don't just hear some Nigerians are doing it, you're going to do it. Have you got them investing in skills?
Yes.
Yes. Upgrading, upskilling. Have you done that? Or you used the old methodology to do the new methodology? So for me, my advice is good to diversify. It's good to go to higher earning areas, but you must always be mindful that regulation is key and important for the investment space.
Now, responding to this, financial analyst Joe Jackson backed the Bank of Ghana's move to regulate the digital currency, saying that the initiative is long overdue.
Dr. Tuahin is somebody I respect very much and I agree with on several points, but on this I may disagree with him. Listen, I did my first crypto investment way back in 2005. I've been in the market, I've jumped out of the market, I haven't jumped back into that market yet, but I've seen ups and downs, fantastic returns and some crazy losses too. So I'm not in the crypto market at the moment, but it is real, right? If you take all the countries in Africa, Ghana was the 5th largest recipient of crypto, and that you cannot throw away. That you have to address, and it's better for it to be regulated. It's better for us to grow in understanding and be able to utilize this as one of our alternative means rather than to say we are not ready yet. I think we are ready. We are more than ready.
Joe Jackson, as a financial analyst, earlier was banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etienne. Now let's do some other stories. As Petrosol Platinum Energy Limited has concluded the second grand finale of its national sales promotion dubbed Energizing Dreams Promo, the second grand finale event held at Spintex Station in the Greater Accra region saw lucky customers win exciting prizes. Speaking to Joy Business, the Chief Executive of Petrosol, Michael Bozumbel, assured customers that the company is committed to delivering great products and services as well as rewarding loyalty.
We thought we needed to give something tangible for the customers to just feel that having celebrated 10 years, at least a few of our customers should be able to say Petrosol has delivered this in tangible terms, to them. And that is why since October last year, we embarked on this journey of rewarding our customers. And it's been a series of events. Some have won TV sets, some have won motorbikes, aboboyas, and we ended this with ultimate, winners winning 2 vehicles. And what people say, Tia Roba, brand new Suzuki Espresso vehicles.
Michael Bozumbel is the Chief Executive of Petrosol. Finally, beverage company Guinness Ghana has reiterated its commitment to invest in different areas of the economy, including sports. This was after the company officially launched the Johnny Walker Annual Ghana Golf Championship set to tee off this May. Speaking at the launch, Marketing Director Stella Muzito said the company will continue to invest in areas that reflect its brand's value of precision, determination, and aspiration.
Johnny Walker has always been part of golf. It really mirrors what the brand is about, to keep walking. It's about precision, it's about determination and skill. We've always felt that we needed to have something there to connect with our consumers and also those who aspire to drink Johnny Walker. We've launched this annual event that starts this year in May, and we hope that it will continue for many more years to come. We want to give a different experience that our golfers have not had before in golf, and it's something to look forward to. We hope that by the time we finish this event, there'll be a lot more people asking us, when is the next one? How can we be part of it?
Estella Muzito is the marketing director of beverage company Guinness Ghana. And that's all for business on Newsnight with me, James Ishan Evans.
James, thank you very much. Now, I have some bad news for you if you're looking forward to sleeping without the problems with electricity, as some parts of Europe are currently facing. Then you may want to, turn away from your radio, but you may sleep in darkness tonight, because intermittent power cuts are expected to persist for the next few days. In fact, it could be weeks or even months, as government says it will need additional time to bring back to life some dysfunctional power plants which have created shortfalls in power generation. Many Ghanaians have recently lamented a sudden change in the relatively stable supply of power across the country. Breaking his silence on the matter, Minister for Energy and Green Transition says that they need to put in place additional measures because of the challenges they're currently facing, which may take some time.
And we are working around the clock to ensure that in the coming weeks we'll address some of these challenges and ensure that we have uninterruptible, reliable supply of power. We would commence in earnest other options to reduce the losses in the power sector. It's estimated that we lose more than 1 billion cedis every month from the inefficiencies in the power sector, i.e. the technical losses, the collection losses, the commercial losses, and also the non-alignment of tariff structure in respect of the cost structure. And that is what we are working around the clock. It's a difficult sector, but we are determined to turn around this sector and put it on an even keel. As we speak, we have enough generation just to meet demand. We do not have any excess capacity. And so when one plant goes down, it creates some immediate disruption, which means that we need to work around the clock to bring the plant back. But when we bring the plant back, we are able to meet demand. And so you cannot publish a load shedding timetable when you are sure that you can be bringing the plants back. But the truth is that what we inherited, we have no reserves. So we are generating just to meet demand. And so it makes the system very, very tight. And we have to be honest with the people of Ghana. The generation and the demand are just at par. And so when one plant goes down, immediately you have a shortfall, but we try to bring the plant back in order to sustain power delivery. And so for some days, you have consistent supply, but maybe one day within a week or two, when a plant goes down, you have a bit of disruption. But because it's just one day, how do you publish a timetable? And so that is why we are working around the clock. But we are confident that getting into the next few weeks and months, the remaining plants that were down, as we work to bring them back, we'll have more redundancy. And we have more redundancy. It means that when one plant goes down, you can switch to another plant.
And that is the Energy Minister, John Juniper there. Well, a few of your messages on our WhatsApp console, the GBA seems to be acting like a legal wing of the MPP. Where was the GBA when Akufo-Addo followed similar processes and removed Madame Charlotte Osei? That's a comment there from one of our listeners. That's specifically from Comrade Issa. And you also have Musa Abatwa, who says the GBA's stance is disappointing. And he says it's also biased. And that's from Musa. Freeman in Kaswa says that man speaking must be sacked immediately. How can he say uses escalators for their operations whilst the cases have not been fully prosecuted by the court? And he says, good evening. Of course, good evening to you too. And a very final one from Kwesi in Kaswa says, I think that it will be a fiasco for the Bar Association to go to court. They better rescind that particular decision. On the other issue, the Kumasi Mayor must be sacked immediately. Well, talking about sacking tonight, one team will be sacked from the Champions League. Is either Arsenal or it's PSG. I have my money on Arsenal because that's what they do. They always bottle it. But the man who knows better than I do is joining me in the studio right now. Yes, I'm not going to ask you. I know you have to be a neutral arbiter in this particular matter because you're going to be ushering us into the Champions League match. Yes, I don't want the Arsenal supporters to start berating you. So yes,
it's actually
what lies in wait?
It's actually 180 minutes of football, so and plus possibly extra time. So tonight, it will only give us an idea who might go through, but the sacking will not happen tonight actually. And
but you can lose so heavily. We all know that that you are out.
You can lose if you lose heavily in the second leg. If you can play like Liverpool and provide an atmosphere like Anfield, it is possible. We saw it against Barcelona when Barcelona had a 4-goal advantage. Liverpool caught them and beat them and knocked them out of the champion. Roma also did it against Barcelona. So it is possible in the game of football. But the team is currently at Palms by Eagles Hotel, formerly known as Holiday Inn. And Daniel Cranton has been taking a look at what has been happening there as we build up to this game between Arsenal and PSG.
The Joy Sports team is at Palms by Eagles in Airport. That's formerly Holiday Inn for the UEFA Champions League semi-final first leg tie between Arsenal and PSG. It is a first of our UEFA Champions League pub series this season. Tomorrow will be as the HR residents in Dansoman for the game between Barcelona and Inter Milan. Arsenal, who made the semi-finals by beating the defending champions Real Madrid, will be hoping to book a place in the final of the UEFA Champions League only for the second time in their history when they come up against PSG tonight, who were triumphant over Aston Villa in the last round. The two teams have already faced in this season's UEFA Champions League in the group stages at the Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal won by 2-0. But both the Arsenal coach Mikel Arteta and the PSG manager Luis Enrique have admitted that that game is not going to have bearing on today's game, but come through the Pounds by Eagles at airport for that game, tonight's game at 7 p.m. between Arsenal and PSG. The commentary obviously is live on Joy 99.7 FM and Hits 103.9 FM.
That is my colleague Daniel Crankton with details from what is happening inside Pounds by Eagles Hotel, formerly known as Holiday Inn Hotel, where we are bringing you commentary of the first leg of the UEFA Champions League semi-final tie between Arsenal and PSG. That game is happening at the Arsenal Stadium. We'll be crossing over pretty quickly for a commentary of that game, but before that, we are back in a jiffy.